not at school or if we're at home doing online learning, you will need to communicate with your teachers through email. Email includes your Outlook email. This includes remind messages. This includes Schoology messages. Any way that you are communicating with one of your teachers or professional, you need to use email etiquette. Now, compare this slide and see what you thought email etiquette was to what it actually is. So we send emails and use electronic communications for many things. Okay, we do this for correspondence with people all over the world. We communicate with more than one person at a time. We leave messages for people regardless of the time. With that, maybe you're asking me a question. It could be 1 a.m. Probably not going to answer you at 1 a.m, but I will get back to you when I get up. You can send attachments to people, like submitting lessons and documents. You can do document interactions. Okay, this serves as a paper trail. So this way nobody can say that you weren't working on something or you didn't ask for help or you didn't try. Work collaboratively on a project. We might have to do that this year through online learning. You might have to work with other people. We might have to use Google Docs, which we'll get into later. Applying for a job or internship. You might be sending an email to inquire about that. And requesting a letter of recommendation. Okay, so email and electronic communication is part of our personal, academic, and professional lives. Now, the way we send them is different for these different types of people. Emails you send can say one thing about you that you wish to share. Say more about you that you wish to share. We want to make sure we're sending emails in a certain way for certain types of people. We want to maintain proper email etiquette that will help get your message across effectively and professionally. A lot of this did not happen last year when we went to online classes, and I had to remind people of how to, I guess, quote unquote, talk to people using email. So what exactly is email etiquette? So at this point, you should have your guided notes. You're going to want to have those out. Okay, I made it so that you can type into them if we're doing online learning. If we are in class, I will be going through it step by step with you. But if you're doing this as online learning, or if you're doing this and you weren't in class and you're trying to catch up and get the notes, you're going to want the guided notes for email etiquette. I will link them here if you need them on the computer or if you can get a paper copy and print. So email etiquette is an established set of guidelines and expectations for how people should communicate electronically. So this means this is how you properly are supposed to communicate using email. So right now, I want you to answer this question. What are some instances when you would need to email your teacher or superior? You can write this in a list. I want to see at least 2 instances where you would need to email your teacher or a superior, like a boss. Okay, why would you need to email them? Please answer this question. Okay, now this is going to go in a couple different ways. If we are in class, you're going to discuss this with your group or a partner. What instances would you use email? Okay, did you brainstorm similar things? Now, if we're doing this online, if we're in a webinar, we're going to talk about it as a group. But if you're doing this at home by yourself, you can just go ahead and skip this part. So here are some things maybe you brainstormed. Why might you send an email to a teacher? You might be asking about an assignment. Okay. That's important to know that if we're doing online learning, you're not just by yourself. You can ask us questions. We're the one who's creating the content. Please ask us if you have questions and you need to know what's going on. Maybe you are questioning in a grade. I did this assignment. I thought I did really well. I only got a 70. Why is it a 70? Can we go over it together? To request further clarification about a topic covered in class. I talk quickly and we have a lot to cover and we're catching up from last year. So maybe you missed something or something just didn't make sense to you. Maybe we're talking about compound complex sentences. That's a lot of information. Something isn't sitting right with me. I would like to schedule tutoring time, so I'm going to send you an email. Or maybe you're asking for an extension on an assignment or for a letter of recommendation. Maybe you were sick, and we know we have a school policy about being sick, but maybe you just need a little extra time because you're at home and your sister had the computer and you need more time to work. Or if you want a letter of recommendation, maybe you've decided you want to join Honor Society and you need a letter of recommendation, but you haven't had a chance to see your teacher in person. Maybe you would like to send an email. So these are some things maybe you thought of. Now I want you to answer this question. What should students do when electronically communicating with a teacher or superior? So these are things that I would see in your email. So go ahead and take some time and answer this question. Again, I want to see at least 2 things. You can make a list, but 2 things that you as a student should do when you're communicating. What would I see in your email to make it correct? Okay, again, if we are in class, we're going to discuss this together or in our small groups, talk about whether we brainstorm similar things. What did you write down? If we're doing this in a webinar, we'll talk on our cameras or maybe type into the chat box. And if you're doing this by yourself, obviously you don't have anyone to talk to, so just skip this part. So here are some things maybe you brainstormed for what I should see in your emails, including your name. Okay, if you're using your school email, it tells me who you are, but maybe not everybody knows who you are, who you're emailing. So you need to put your name in there. You need to be polite and professional. Last year, when we were doing Ingenuity, I would get emails that said, unlock now. Well, first of all, that's not a request. I'm not an automated system. That's not polite or professional. So what was it you wanted me to unlock? What am I unlocking now? I'm not unlocking something at 2 a.m. when I'm asleep. So that is not correct. That is not the right way to go about getting help. Give the email a subject title. This is going to be huge, and we're going to talk about this. Some people put their whole email in the subject title. I can't even see that whole thing. Maybe your subject title is test is locked, or maybe it is help on topic sentences. Whatever it is that you're going to be writing about in your email, put it there. But it should be short, only a few words. And then the rest of your email goes in the email box. And using formal language. This is not writing in abbreviations. This is not talking to me or another teacher like you would talk to your friends. It's how you would talk in class. So make sure that we're using formal language. And these are all things we're going to go into in this PowerPoint. Okay, I need you to brainstorm again here. What should students not do when they're electronically communicating with a teacher or superior? I did just mention a few things, but maybe there are some more you can think of. I want to see at least 2 things here. You can make a list again that you should not do when communicating with a teacher. Again, if we're in class, we're going to talk about this in small groups and then as a class. If we're in a webinar, we'll write it in the chat box or we'll talk about it on our screens. And if you're doing this alone, you can't brainstorm with someone else. So sorry you missed this part. So here are some things you might have brainstormed. What not to do. Use slang or informal language. That's the opposite of formal, so we don't want to do that. We do not want to be aggressive or defensive. We know that sometimes we just come off in a certain way that we didn't mean to and we have to explain ourselves. This happens, but don't intentionally be angry. Like, why in the world would you give me this grade? I worked so hard. I hate you. No, you want to be professional in order to get the help you need. assuming that the teacher knows the email is from you. Now, most of the time we do, but last year I had students email me not from their school email, which you should not do. And I had no idea who they were. Who's Flag Girl 1542? I have no idea. So I need to know who you are. And make demands without offering a justification. You need to change my grade right now. What? We need to talk. So make sure you're being professional at all times and not doing these 4 things. So here are some things to consider when you're going through email etiquette. Your formatting, tone, discourse, your digital footprint, any attachments or examples. And we're going to go into all of these 6 things here. So under formatting, these are first impressions matter, and a proper formatting will give your email a good first impression. So how do we format? Your email always has to have these things: subject, a salutation, which is your greeting, body, a closing, and a signature. The subject of your email needs to be direct and clear. We don't want super long emails. I'm queen of this, and I'm trying to work really hard on shortening mine. The recipient of the email should know immediately what the email will be about just by reading the subject line. Like I said, maybe you want to talk about help on your last unit test. In your subject line, you could say help on last unit test. And I know that your email is going to be about needing help. Maybe you want to retake it. Maybe you want to go over it. Maybe you want to relearn certain parts of that test before you retake it. But I need to know, what is this going to be about? Just like you would in a formal or business letter, all emails should begin with a salutation. So that is your greeting. For example, Dear Miss Smith, Dear Miss MP, greetings, Miss MP, something like that. The body of your email should explicitly state the reason you are writing. Okay, I'm writing this email to kindly ask for a letter of recommendation. Can you please look over my paper and check it for errors? Just tell me what it is you want. If you want to make small chat, you can, but if you're trying to get help on something, you don't need to say, how's the family? How are you doing? I hope you're well. You could put that in your closing, but in your body, I just want to know, what is it that I can help you with? The closing of your email should be simple and professional. Like, sincerely, regards, I look forward to your reply. Hope all is well. After your closing, then you put your signature. That is your full name and contact information if you think we need it. Now, this is for people that aren't your teachers, but this is for others. So if they need to get back to you, if you're applying for a job, if you're emailing a coach, maybe that doesn't have all your contact info, or if you're looking for someone to call you about something, you need to include that under your contact information. That goes under your name. So here's an example. Up here, we have who it's to, okay? And then your subject. So this student is writing to Miss Smith about their upcoming absence. And then here, they put their greeting. Good afternoon, Miss Smith. And then here's their body. I will be away at a basketball tournament next week from Wednesday to Friday, and I was wondering if you could please email me the classwork that I will miss. My email address is, and then they put their email address. Okay, so this is a perfect example of being formal, being direct, asking for what you need. Then they have also, when can I come make up the quiz? So this is a second thing they needed. Notice they put a space because these are 2 separate ideas. That's perfectly fine. So this is a second body. Then they have their closing. Thank you for your help. And then they put their name. And they put their period, which also can be helpful. I'm really good at remembering what period everybody is in, but maybe not every teacher is. This can be helpful. So again, subject line is there. Your greeting or your salutation. There's a body. There's your closing and your signature. Okay, next part is your tone. So this is what gets you out of getting in trouble so you don't sound angry. This is what gets us in trouble with our text messages to our friends because we come off a certain way by saying K, period. So we want to make sure our tone comes through so we don't sound aggressive or angry. Maybe frustrated is okay. That I understand, but you don't want to come off as being aggressive. So we want to make sure we do this through how we write. Okay, your tone is your attitude towards your subject. Electronic communication is difficult to convey a certain understanding because it's just words. We don't hear your voice. We don't hear the inflection or the way you say things. So when emailing teachers or superiors, always remain positive and academic. You should avoid writing with sarcasm and humor at all times because they do not belong in an email for school or work. In person, yeah, sure, fine, because we can hear that. But in an email, please don't do that. Under discourse, this is the way you talk and text with your friends. Might not be the best discourse for formal emails. We know that friends and formal emails to teachers are different. This is written or spoken communication. So your discourse is the way you communicate. At school, in a business environment, a formal or academic discourse is expected, or less formal discourse is common at home and with friends. So just make sure you stay formal. Okay, the way you would talk to us. And then your digital footprint. Once you press send, your email is published forever. So please remember this, whether you're talking to your friends or teachers. If it's in writing, it is tied to you forever. You can't take it back. Okay, so in addition to every tweet, snap, gram, and vine you send off into the digital abyss, emails never go away. So be cautious of this. If you say anything about anybody, or you swear at somebody, or you are aggressive towards somebody, or you threaten somebody, if it is in writing, it is never, ever, ever going away. We will always have it. Okay, this also could be good for you though. So if you are trying to work with a teacher, and we know that teachers are great, I'm awesome, but maybe your teacher isn't helping you the way they should, and you've sent 5 or 6 emails asking for help, and they've only responded to 1, and then they didn't show up to the tutoring time that you guys planned, and you emailed saying you didn't show up to tutoring time, and they said, oops, sorry, forgot. This is a way for, and then they fail you. This is a way for you to show, hey, I tried. They're not helping me. This is your backup. So it's great for you to keep track of things instead of just doing it vocally. So if you have someone who's not helping you, start putting it in writing. Send remind messages, send emails to your teachers. And that way you have proof. Okay, and then attachments. Wait, there's a difference between sending the content in the email and an attachment? Yes. Before sending an attachment, make sure it is a universal format that can be opened easily. So you don't want to send me links to your OneDrive. I can't open those. Only you can. So it tells me, oops, there's an error. You want to actually send the document itself. So you want to open it, save it to the desktop, and send it. Okay, you want to make sure that teachers accept attachments. We usually do, yes, but certain ways that you send an email, we can't open. So you have to make sure that we can open it. Okay, so here are some examples of bad emails. What is wrong with these email examples? What changes do you need to make to improve them? So I'm going to show you the examples. And then after each, I'll have a box for you to write in and say what's wrong with it. So here is the first one. Let you look at it. And then tell me 2 things that are wrong with this in the box. Okay, you might have noticed there's no subject line, no salutation up here. Incorrect discourse. This is the text to speech. We have an @ symbol. Tomorrow is not spelled out. Are, and, homework, no period, no capitals. We're also missing that punctuation. Like I said, no period, no capital I. And there's grammatical errors. I won't be at class tomorrow. What are we doing, and is there homework? Wrong there. What is wrong with this one? Okay, here we have an informal tone. Your teacher's name is not, hey. What is your teacher's name? We need a good greeting here. Now, we do have who it's to, of course, that's right. We have a subject line, lunch help. Okay, this is good. I don't understand the homework. Can I come in at lunch for help? Okay. Thanks. Sol student. Okay. That works. What's wrong with this one? Okay, so here we have indirect discourse again. The text-to-speech, props, OMG, anything. It's chatty and informal. Here's what the message says. I'm so sorry I missed first period today. I had so many probs this morning. My car wouldn't start, and then I ran out of gas. Once it did finally start, OMG. And of course, I didn't have any cash. So my mom came and got me and took me out to brunch since my morning was so bad. Did I miss anything? Ugh. Okay. We don't need all of that. Simply apologize and ask what was missed. What's wrong here? And these are the kinds of emails I see the most. Okay, vague subject line. Help. With what? What are you about to ask me for help with? We didn't have a greeting. We didn't have a closing. Don't yell at your teacher. Oh my gosh. Now I can understand you vocalizing this in class, but remember, emails need to be formal. This is not helpful. We don't need emojis. Okay, and then which assignment? I don't understand the assignment. Help me. Well, which one are you working on? I can't help you until I know. I spend a lot of time answering emails, and it's very helpful for me to not have to say, okay, what do you need help with? Which assignment? If you tell me right up front, we don't spend more time waiting and answering each other back. Another one. What is wrong here? Okay, here we have an informal subject line. Could have just had extension, question mark. That would have been fine. Too much flattery, and that you don't need to do this. This also looks really bad because it looks like you're bribing. You are the coolest and smartest teacher on the campus. No, you're also my favorite teacher I've had, like, ever. No, we don't need that. You are just wondering about the extension, but you never actually asked for one. Make sure your purpose is clear. I've been struggling with my rhetorical essay, so I was wondering if I could have an extension. Okay, maybe you could say, may I please have an extension? Okay, don't assume the answer. Thank you in advance. Just say thank you. And not your favorite student, I need your name. Okay, so now you are going to move on to the practice. Good luck.